Okay, Crewton Ramone's houseofmath.com. Going over Crewton Ramone's superbly simple subtraction. And it is superbly simple. Basically, what we're going to do is start off with hundreds, and once again, following the concept of degree of difficulty. And we're going to do it a different way than you learned how to do it with all this borrowing and canceling and all this other stuff. Heck with that. Let's just make a 9, make a 10. That's it. Make a 9, make a 10. When I do hundreds, make a 9, make a 9, make a 9, make a 10. And we're not going to go this way from right to left. We're going to go the way that makes it easy for your brain to tell the answer. We're going to go from left to right. Right? So I look at this one and I can see, because I know my add-ins, and we played with add-ins and we know, right? Okay, but we don't want to just turn this into rules and process. We want to have played with blocks and understand that what we really are doing is taking $56.25 away from $100, right? We can use a big red block and take away 37 and see that I'm going to have 63. And a fast way to get the symbols that we want is to make a 9, make a 10. Right? And then we can make some magic, quote-unquote, magic triangles. I don't like the term particularly, but the triangles really often drive home the point to students that what we really are going to do is take this number away from this number, and then whatever this is going to add up to that. But rather than making it this difficult thing, how easy is it to just say, make a 9, make a 9, make a 9, make a 10? And how am I going to do that? Well, or what do I mean? What I mean is I look at that and I see that I need 43.75 to solve that. That's the answer. And 4 and 5 is 9. 3 and 6, 9. 7 and 2, 9, 5. Alright, that's all it is. Okay, this is a self-directed worksheet, which you can get for free. Free, as in free. And free at Crewton Ramone's House of Math means free. Doesn't mean give me your email address so I can add you to a list. Doesn't mean, it means free. It means go to the website, hit the worksheets page or hit the subtraction page, and look for the place where you can download the PDF, and you get this one sheet free. No obligation, no anything, right? And it's 100% self-directed. Just give you a couple examples there. And self-directed means either you or your student is going to have to fill this in. If you have more than one student, a couple of students, they can make worksheets for each other, where they write the numbers in, and then, because they'll try to make them hard, right? And they'll find out there's no such thing as hard when you're just making 9s and 10s. And, one student makes it for the other student, and then they can easily correct them. And it's more fun that way. If you're just doing it for your students, you can make the worksheets, or they can make their own to practice, because all this is practice. It's not drill, it's just fooling around and having fun. Alright, and in case you don't know what I mean by triangles, here is a kid working on these, and see, this is a worksheet we're doing by hand, but he has to make the triangles. And the triangles work like this. Here's 100, and that was 97.63. And of course, if I want to make my 9 there, I don't have to do anything. It's a 0. Notice how the 0 is erased, because I do put a 0 there. 7 and 2, 9. 6 and 3, 9. 7 and 3, 10. Okay, done, right? Okay, but just to make sure he understands, 100, right? And then we see that 97.63 and $2.37 add up to 100, right? So add these two together, you get plus. But the magic of it is, if I add these two, I get that. But if I took 100 and I subtracted that, I get this. And if I take 100 and I subtract that, I get this. Ooh, pretty cool, huh? And then here, same thing. There's the 100, right? And took away the 83, which leaves me with this. And if I add these two together, I get that. If I take this and subtract that from that, I get this. If I take that and subtract it this way, I get that. So anyway, we're just making the triangles so that they see how the numbers work together and how this and this obviously add up to this, so on and so forth. Okay, so you'll see on some of the worksheets it says flip this over and do a couple of these on the back so that you make sure that they're not just doing rules and process, that they actually understand that they're doing subtraction, right? And that the make a 9, make a 9, make a 10 thing just makes it really easy to do the subtraction. But we don't want to get them bogged down in just, oh, here's the rules and we can do it. And you'll see also on the worksheets there's some places where you actually have to do some thinking, not just follow the rules. Alright, so once you get your password, you can get the other 9 pages, of which this is one, is the second page. So what you'll see is they come in pairs. One page is self-directed, one page is done by me, one page self-directed, etc. And probably there's going to be like 50 pages to this thing when it's done. This is like one chapter now. We've got 10 pages. And there'll be some, instruction and how-to in there and so forth. Although if you want to just download the PDF and not have to watch videos, it'll all be there. So there'll be a lot of written instruction and so forth. Also, for that dollar, there's several other worksheets you can get, and there'll be more and more worksheets all the time, and you can choose from any of them or all of them. If you pay your dollar for the password, you get this one, and you have access to other things. Plus, you have access to the algebra videos, which show you how to do negative expressions using base 10 blocks. Like I said, that's unique on the internet. Soon there'll be a page about percentages, which is again unique to this method, making percentages super easy. And like I said, these are not randomly generated worksheets. These have the concept of degree of difficulty included. And they're gonna have to think, because we don't just want ruled process. Just follow, make a 9, make a 9, make a 10. Sure, it makes it super easy, but we want to make sure they understand that they're subtracting, number one, and they don't just blindly go along. Like, is this what's going to happen here? Do I make a 10 here? I mean, what happens? Okay, and you let them make up their own rules and how it works, right? Don't tell them. And the way that they'll be able to check it to make sure is if we add these guys up, this number and this number, does it add up to 100? You'll see some of them will pause and get stuck on what to do here, because if they're really used to just following the rules, right? So anyway, on these, make it just easy for them to see. Oh, what you do is you just move over by one, right? All right. So now we move on to hundreds, fifties, and twenties, and tens. There should be tens there, because 90 would be some 20s and a 10. And oh look, now they can see. Oh, there's the rule, right? And then it even asks, well, mind the first number, right? Over here, of course, we make a 9. But on ones like this, do I make a 9? Or I mean, would it make sense to make a 9 if there's an 8 there? Would it make sense to make a 9 if it's a 6? And then it also asks, how many 20s is 80, how many 20s and 60, right? Little kids getting an idea of money and bills. Let's see here. So, and then it asks, it's either it's a $50 bill, or it's 3 other bills. What kind would it be? And then how many combinations for 50 with bills can you think of? That's a nice question to fool around with. And you can talk about 5s and 10s and 1s and so forth. How many 20s and 40? Simple question. Now, like I said, this page is self-directed. They get up, you or they make the problems. And on this page, I've made some problems for you to get an idea and get a feel for it. And then you'll see, as we go down here, we're talking about hundreds and 20s and 10s. Now, right? Again, mind the first number. What's the rules? Right? Make sure you remember your decimal point and so forth. Now again, here's a page of problems that I did. All right, now mark the numbers that don't make sense, but do the problem anyway. Okay, so we want to do the problem, but you're right. Some of them, so you'll see, some of them don't make sense if we're fooling around with money. Would I pay? Is there any way to use? Why would I give $90 if it's only $13.77? Right, does that make sense? What could I use? Well, I could use a 20, right? That would make sense. Why would I give them all that extra money if it's just $13.77? So a few things like that for thinking. Right, on one like this, 80. Why would I give them 30? Why would I give them 4 20s if it's only 37.86? In fact, you might ask them, how many 20s would you need? Just 2, right? Simple. Okay, but you don't underestimate the power of these things, because all you do is practice. And again, don't give them this all to do in homework for it, right? This would be over weeks. This literally, you could give like 2 of these worksheets per week, right? One self-directed and one that I made. And over like 5 weeks, you give them all 10 worksheets. And then which one are they going to practice the most? Like I said, here it is again, where I made it. They're going to practice the most on 20s and hundreds, but 20s. Hundreds we start off with because it's the easiest and it gives them the patterning and understanding what we're doing, just making 9s and 10s. But 20 is going to be the one they use the most. I mean, 20 cash machines dispense $20 bills. The most common bill, $20. The most common transaction, $20. So practice with 20s. And pretty soon you're going to see it doesn't take long to realize that there aren't that many combinations. In fact, an older student, this might be a good question for them. How many combinations for 20 are there? I mean, if I use all the digits here, right? Because there's only going to be 1 digit here, 1 through 9 here, 1 through 9 there, and 1 through 9 there, right? So there's not really that many combinations. You could actually, over the course of several years, fooling around with worksheets like this, give them every single combination there is for $20 and change. Then after we get that, and like I said, do a couple of these worksheets over time. We talk about the different impressions and so forth. Because 3 months later, this is going to be a brand new worksheet to little kids, to 7, 8, 9-year-old kids. It'll be like the first time they've seen it. And 6 months later, and a year later, and so forth. Depending on how long you have these students. If you're homeschooling, for sure, just every few months, work on a few of these worksheets. Then we come down to where we're just dealing with change under 20, right? 20s, 10s, 5s, and 1s. Pretty simple. All right. Crewton Ramone's houseofmath.com. Like I said, for the one worksheet, which you can get 100% for free, free, is this one. And then if you want the other ones I just went over, it's $1. But you get more. You get more PDFs than just this one for $1. You'll see that there's several there to choose from. Right now, it's just for the very young kids. There's a writing one and one for that has all 45 add-ins on it, by the way. But anyway, it's going to be a lot more. Plus, you get the algebra videos. Plus, there's going to be all kinds of stuff. That $1 goes a long way at Crewton Ramone's houseofmath.com.